This video summarizes your options for accessing email addresses in an email list. And we'll begin with the address book itself. There are a couple of ways that you can gain access to the address book. The first is from this home window. You can click the address book button and it will open up showing you the global address list by default. The second way, and probably the more common way, is if you create a new email, you have the to and the CC buttons available. When you click on those buttons, it's going to open up that same address book. And in this drop-down menu is where you can choose the various types of lists that you'd like to access. So it does by default show you the global address list, and this is going to include every email account and contact listing that we have on our Exchange server. By default, it's going to show everyone by first name and then last name, so you can search for them in that way. So as an example, we can access students. Every student 5th through 12th grade has a Gaggle email address. You don't have to worry about memorizing those addresses though, as we have entered them in as contacts in Exchange. And so as an example, if I want to contact Mary Creech, you can see that her name is listed here, and then I can double click her and that'll add her to the to field, but I can also add her to the CC field or the BCC field. If I want to gain access to a teacher, let's say Mr. Cobbs, you can see again I just type the first couple of letters of his last name and it will hone in on him. We also have a couple of different categories of addresses. So we have groups, and groups are distribution lists. It's a way of grouping several different users together, and we have defined groups for most of the departments, the divisions, and so on. One of the big ones that you'll see utilized often is faculty and staff, and that's going to be sent to everyone who's employed here and who has an email address. Now, we ask that you use that very sparingly, and most of the time, if you have an announcement or a comment that should be addressed by the whole faculty, we ask that you use Campus Connections rather than a bulk email. But there are times when it's appropriate to use that faculty and staff grouping. Another category of address is, of course, the faculty and staff listing. So this will just show faculty and staff. And then I can also just show students to help narrow that down. One of the categories of email addresses is the contacts, and we use this mostly for people who are gone but maybe have forwarded addresses, but more interestingly and more applicable to your everyday work is that we have made distribution lists or contacts of each class. And so if you want to send an email to an entire class, you can just select this contact and that will forward it to Gaggle, and everyone who's part of that class will get that email address as well. So that's underneath all contacts. In addition to the contacts that exist on the email server, there's also this contacts list, and this contacts list is the list that I manage in Outlook. So it's not a shared listing, it's a listing that's just specific to me, and I'll take a couple minutes and show you how you can build that contact list. So to gain access to your contacts, so again, this is not the set of contacts that's on the Exchange server, this is the set of contacts that you've built, kind of like your Rolodex. You go to the contacts option over at the left, and you can see here that I have several that I've defined. If I click New Contact, it will allow me to create another one of these cards, and I can fill in as much or as little information as I need, and I can also make notes. So I could have their name, their company, probably their email address. I could also include their phone numbers, and so on. Another option is if you are interacting with somebody who sent you an email and you'd like to save their contact, you can do that very quickly from here. What you do is find that person's email, an email that they've sent to you. So in this case, I'll go to the salesperson from Whipple Hill or from Magnus. And you can see as I mouse over the email address, it pops up with their contact information. And if I right click on that email address, I can tell it to add to Outlook contents. And you can see it's filled in quite a bit of it, but I can go in and fill in further information like the phone number and so on. And so that's a quick way that instead of having to copy and paste contact information, that you can grab it and then add it into your contacts. And then from here, if I right click on a contact, I can go in and create a new email. I can even send them a meeting and so on. So that covers both the global address list, which is maintained by my team, the distribution groups, which are maintained in-house by us, and then your contacts, which you have control over and are associated just with your Outlook account.